Well, kia ora, everybody, and welcome to Women on the Frontlines Summer Devotional Series. My name is Sharon Reynolds, and it's my pleasure to be with you today from the deep South Island of New Zealand to bring a word of encouragement to you around the gifts of the Spirit, the gift of gentleness. I want to talk about gentleness today. And Ephesians 4:2 says this, says, be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love. And that this verse encourages us to cultivate a gentle and patient attitude towards others. Well, who hasn't been tested in this? I don't know. But I certainly have. And it reminds me of when Jesus said, that he is, his yoke is lowly, and for I am gentle and lowly in heart, he says in Matthew. And I think of that and I think, yeah, Jesus was many things in his character and attribute, and gentle was definitely one of them. And I think when Ephesians 4:2 says that be completely humble and gentle, bearing with one another. Well, I don't know about you, but I haven't always been, truthfully, a gentle person bearing with my fellow man, let's say. And particularly, I can think of a very specific incident in who has, if you've ever raised teenagers, you'll have an understanding of, oh my goodness, they seem to push you to the brink sometimes with your patience and your gentleness gets pushed to the edges. And I have had 6 kids in total, but I remember all of them at some point in their teenage years have kind of pushed me to that threshold, if you like, of losing it, really, just losing it with them. And they, I know that the bedroom cleanup, for instance, with a household of girls is just an absolute nightmare for me as a mum, because I like things tidy and orderly. And, girls growing up, they don't always exercise the tidy and orderly. They do when they're little, but when they become teenagers, their rooms can get quite messy. And it used to really grate on me. And one of our girls, so 4 girls altogether, and one of our girls is particularly just, oh my gosh, I would call her just, I guess the word is a bit of a slob, like she'll just come in and chuck her clothes off and they just land wherever. And it really used to drive me quite bananas. And, I'd end up butting heads with my girl. And we just end up getting in an argument and, falling out sort of thing. And as a mum, you don't want that. You want to stay connected with your teenage daughters. It's really important. And, I think, do I really want to have a fight over a bedroom? Is this a mountain I'm ready to die on? Lex, and my husband would say to me, I'm sure, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And it's an old saying, and some of you might know it and some of you might not. But what he was getting at is that a kind word placed in the right moment is going to get you more result than a hot word, let's say, a reaction. So I thought, okay, I'll try this out. So, I'm kind of like, I've got 3 other girls and they've gone through all the same thing, and surely what I'm doing is not working. So let's try a gentle word. Let's try something else. And so with this daughter in particular, it really was. I felt the Lord's presence in her room, and I realized that it didn't matter what the mess was, that on the outside, that God was ever present on the inside. And what was the better thing for me to do was connect with the Spirit of God within her than worry about the mess on the floor. And so I realized that when I began to speak a gentle tone, when I lowered my tone and slowed my speech and came to her on her level with a different approach, that when I spoke a gentle word, that suddenly things were beginning to turn around, that I noticed that when I spoke to her with a gentle tone or with an encouraging tone and didn't focus on the mess, but focused more on the positive and speaking into her life with a kinder word, then she wanted to do better. She wanted to tidy her room up. She wanted things to be straightened up and in order. And, there's another old saying, which is tidy room, tidy mind, right? If your room is tidy, then your mind is tidy. And all of those things that were inside me from growing up, I realized were what I was projecting onto her, rather than God's word and God's intention, which was be completely humble and gentle. So, when I went to her and said, I love you and I'm not getting on your case for the sake of it, my hope is that you will see that when things are in order, it helps you to get about your day better, instead of, running out, trying to get things at the last minute and you don't know where they are in your room and you're running out the door and you're tripping over things on the floor, and it doesn't give you the best start to your day. But what I notice is that when things are in order and things are put away, that you are able to get up and start your day with a jump and a smile and a spark, and it carries you through the rest of the day, no matter what comes your way. Well, that word worked better than any other word that I had tried. So today I encourage you to speak a gentle word, to take a gentle tone, to be humble, and to be patient with one another, bearing in love each other. God bless you today.